Welcome to another episode of Mind Power Meets Mystic. I am the mind power part of the equation. My name is Michelle Walters, and I am joined here today by my fabulous podcast co host, Cinthia Varkevisser. She is our show mystic. We are very happy today to be welcoming one of our friends, friend of the show, longtime great gal, Tracie Root. Tracie Root is a champion for bold action. After a life altering loss, Tracie didn't just rebuild, she reinvented herself. Now, as a speaker, coach, author, podcaster, and community builder, Tracie empowers women entrepreneurs to take bold, decisive action and create thriving businesses. As the founder of the Gather community and host of the Bold and Brilliant podcast with Tracie Root, she has built a powerful national network of ambitious women ready to dream bigger and achieve more. Her energy is contagious, her coaching is transformative, and her mission is clear to help women step into their power and make life happen. Welcome, Tracie.
Thank you. It's always so fun. It's filed away normally, but when I get to hear it read by someone else, I'm like, yeah, I do all that stuff. That's pretty fun.
I love that. I love
Thanks
hearing
for
all
having
about
me.
it.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Tracie,
Yes, darling.
we have been able to experience you on a lot of levels, right? One is we've gone on cruises together. We are Bliss sisters. We've gotten to experience you as a speaker. You have supported me when I have done events in your area, and I'm super, super grateful for that. And that all ties into the fourth chakra, which is about, building community. So can you talk about what is your definition of community? Because it is huge when we're talking about fourth chakra.
Yeah. Well, I think community to me really is defined by connection. I was talking about this earlier, in fact, on a Zoom that I was hosting. And I had someone yesterday ask me, so is the Gather community a Facebook group? And I said, no, because, we might have a group and that's one way we can communicate to each other, but the community is the people. It's you and me and that person and this person and that woman all connected live and like through energy, through conversation, through emotions, through understanding and support and encouragement, and all of the things that we do to lift each other up is what creates community. Now, if we knew each other, but we weren't supporting and encouraging and highlighting each other's awesomeness, I don't think we would say we were in community together or we're part of the same community. So a community really ties everyone together. In fact, I'm looking at the graphic on your background and all of the tying together of the network kind of graphic that we've seen a million times. And that's the thing. We don't call it a network because that's very kind of masculine energy, all business. A community can be any of the above: business, personal, faith-based, governmental, your city, your town, your planet. It's all community.
I love
I
that.
love it. And for those of you who are listening, yes, when we record this, Cinthia and I have a background that has these, well, it's like a black background with these blue dots with little lines between them. We actually, well, I chose that when we first started our podcast because the podcast had a different name when we started. The first name of our podcast was It's All Connected. And so I thought, what would be better than having a whole bunch of dots connected for us here? But it sounds like that's exactly kind of the way to think about the Gather community is it's
Well,
all connected.
and it's an image that everyone's familiar with, especially in the digital age, right? Because, if you imagine the globe, like a nighttime image of the planet, and all of the cities have lights, right? Because of light pollution or whatever. But then there's roads connecting everything. And that's, the whole planet is connected through cities and roads and towns and everything, and how you get from one town to the other. And it's the same kind of image on how one person is connected to the other. or one idea even can be connected to the other. So those connections are what builds the community vibe.
So, Tracie, give our listeners the snapshot story of where Gather Community came from.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Gather Community started as before, in the before time, as an in-person event space here in Santa Cruz, where I live, where Michelle lives very much because she used to be here too. Here in Santa Cruz, I was living here. I had lived here for several years. I was already coaching for a half a dozen years or so. And I wanted to bring people together for my work, for workshops. I wanted to do vision board workshops and have happy hours, healthy happy hours, because I was health coaching at the time. And networking and different things. And so since my corporate background is in interior design and project management, I said, well, I'm just going to rent a place. I couldn't find anything reliable and nice and affordable to rent regularly. It was a very big challenge. So I said, I'll just make one of my own. And I rented a commercial space and learned all about what it takes to put together a brick and mortar, which was a lot. And we opened in October of 2019 with a big party and a great time. And then, 5 months later, we turned off the lights and sanitized the door handles and went home to our home offices to see what this COVID lockdown was going to bring to all of us. And within a couple of weeks, because we thought it was just going to be a couple of weeks, right? Within a couple of weeks, we realized that we weren't going back in person anytime soon, that the lights were going to stay off over at Gather. And me and my friends and associates and people that I had built relationships with locally and across the globe through my coaching kind of went, well, what are we going to do? And I said, well, I'll open up my Zoom room and we'll figure it out together, because I don't know and you don't know, but maybe together we can decide, make some decisions. And within a couple of months, I realized that the whole point of making Gather this space wasn't about having a space. Even though having a space is fun, especially for someone who's into design and you get to make it what you want. I realized that it really was about bringing people together, and the community building factor started to kind of show up with more clarity for me. So we took the model of having an in-person space, rent the room, and get all of this support and encouragement and benefits and amenities and advertising and everything. And instead of renting the room, let's create a membership. And that's what we did. We had our first members join in May of 2020. By the end of the year, we had a 10-speaker, multi-speaker summit. And year over year since then, and I should say that was the creation of the Gather community. We've changed things a lot every year because, as you remember, going through COVID, no one knew what was going to happen year over year over year. Oh, are we going to go back in person? Yes, no. Oh, no, here's the Delta variant or whatever. And, no one knew what to expect. And this really served me as a coach to help people remember that we literally don't know what the future holds. So in the meantime, let's help each other out to move forward in whatever seems to make sense today. And so every year, the Gather community kind of revisits, what are people interested in? What do they want to spend their time doing? What are they willing to pay for? It's been a great entrepreneurial education. And now where we're at is we do 5 to 10 live on Zoom events a month. We have 16 high-level members who get all of the promotion and visibility I can muster for them. We hold business networking, personal networking, and game night. We have masterminds, we have summits, we have roundtables, we host workshops. Anything that you're doing as a business owner online, we're probably doing or have done and found that our audience is interested or not interested in it. So the Gather community, while it might have started off as a 1,000 square foot room, it became this opportunity to find our people who are positive and want to not only learn and grow personally and professionally, but help others do the same. And we connect all of those women together in the Gather community.
I love that so much.
That's my snapshot.
Well, here's the thing. We are talking about businesses and different chakras. This is a perfect time to talk about the fourth chakra because you've touched upon pretty much everything that the fourth chakra holds, right? Which is the heart chakra. You talked about like what's the vibe of something, right? Which is about positivity, the people that you are curating for this community because to belong, you want to make sure that it holds certain
Yep.
energy and certain value. The other thing that I love is that you have year over year, you figure out what is it that you want your members to have. Fourth chakra is about being present, right? Fifth, sixth, and seventh chakras are about future, about beyond. First, second, and third are all about the past, right? That's how because it's about foundation, first chakra, foundation, survival, right? The things that are really important in the beginning. And then the second is about creativity, expression, which we could also have you on for that because, we can talk about your Blue Devils. We can talk about so many things with the creativity side and the things that you've done. Third chakra is about ego and how you stand in the world and emotions and that kind of definition. And then you have fourth chakra, which is so it's all about that. It's also about empathy, compassion. It's about understanding and trust, which is what you need in order to have a community. And so you in your snapshot, and I have the air quotes because it was a pretty detailed snapshot, you hit everything else in the fourth chakra. So here's my thing. You've curated this space, right? Who are the people that come to you? Besides the fact that they're positive and they're supportive, what else have you found when people are saying, hey, I don't know if this is the community for me?
Yeah. I end up attracting a lot of people who are interested in building their own communities. And so I think that's kind of that overlapping ripples in the pond kind of visual. I share that visual a lot. Like if we're all a pebble in the pond and we create this ripple, but together if we're all in the pond, all our ripples are overlapping. And so, for example, I had someone join our community as a VIP member, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 months ago. And her community that she's creating is opening next week. And that happens frequently. I think that community builders and people who are community minded tend to be gravitated towards each other. So as a connector, a natural connector, I think there's like an energetic connection to other natural connectors because we're always going you and you and you and you and you and you should all meet each other. And I want to do what I can to facilitate that for each of them. So I attract definitely other connectors. I also, because one of the things we offer is visibility, I attract people who are up leveling and who are looking for support in doing that. A handful of our creator members who get speaking opportunities and promotion will tell you before they came to Gather community, like there's something about joining us as a creator they knew was that like risky step they needed to take in order to show up bigger. And that's, as a coach, that's one of the things that I really focus on is helping women to be bold and to take those risks to grow. So I'm attracting those women as well, where they know it's going to be a safe place for them to try new things and to maybe experiment, with what they are imagining in their future. So
I think that's fabulous, Tracie. It's fabulous. And it seems to suit you so well. This being kind of, it's nice to think of yourself as one of the dots on the periphery, but frankly, my friend, you are a dot in the center because you are sending out little loops and strings and whatever everywhere else.
Yeah, I think as the founder, that's my job is to kind of keep everything centered and to reach, right? That is my goal, is to reach more people. I think in my bio, it said across the country, but of course, North America would be a little more accurate. And we have a number of gals in Canada in our community as well. But honestly, we have people, we had an event the other day, and in past events similar to that, South America, Europe, the UK, and Africa, Uganda, like all these different places where, they may not be really the clientele that I typically serve, but there's something about the reach that just can go farther than you think when you are open to like seeing what could happen. And that does go back to like the whole presence of the chakra and allowing yourself to just be like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know my mission and I am clear about what I'm trying to do. And I have goals, and let's reach this way and let's reach that way, and see who we can find that is looking for us also.
So tell us a little bit, Tracie. I know you have a lot of VIP members, but you also have sort of a leveled up group
Yeah.
in your community. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that group and who they are and what they do and kind of the role they play in your community?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we actually have summits and different workshops that we host for our creator members. That's the level that you're talking about, the creators. And because they are, so in the creator membership, I should say, what they get for their membership is honestly everything I can think of. They get speaking opportunities, visibility, promotion, unlimited promotion. They get like they can do video in the Facebook group where no one else gets to. They, I'm going to do everything I can to help highlight them with my community, my list, my social media reach, and also to help them, again, connect to other people and be seen as the expert in their area, to be highlighted. And I don't, I mean, most people realize that even if you have a coach and a coach and a coach, even if you have a life coach, life coach, or, all in the same category, no one is the same. So the variety of different women in different ways that they serve their clients allows me to highlight every single one of them as an expert in their field. We do, lots of spotlights and lots of opportunities to really showcase them in their expertise in their business, but we also showcase them in their beingness of a woman entrepreneur or a leader in their field of work. So that's really, the creators get like they get anything. They get whatever I can muster. And then to talk about our VIP membership, which is our more accessible, like more of a participatory membership. The VIP members get to attend everything without having to register and like make it challenging. We just automatically register everyone for everything. It's a lot. Like I said, 5 to 10 events a month for most of the year. They also, there's a directory where they get to, be listed and have all of their links there. We have a mastermind for them. They get to come to the co-working. And so there are a handful of things that creators and VIP community members, it's exclusive to them. And then the community at large, like the 1,100 people or so we have in our Facebook group, the couple thousand on my list, like that's what I call the community at large, but really it's whoever is connected to any of those VIPs and creators. Because again, it's like those ripples in the pond overlapping, and they're all different sizes, but it's that Venn diagram, everything's connected.
Got it.
And it's funny, as I'm talking to you, I have your window here when we're talking on Zoom, but my screen, like screensaver image, is some sort of big circular, like labyrinth kind of image. I don't even know what it is, but coincidentally, it just keeps like vibrating this circles expanding thing while I'm talking to you. It's pretty crazy.
I love that. All right, let's talk about the fun side of you, because you are FUN, right? And community, it's, there's a business of community, what we're talking about. We're talking about all these things, but you are freaking fun and hilarious. And we don't really talk about that very much in our podcast when we're talking about business and chakras especially on the chakra side, but we are at the heart center. We're talking about heart. So tell us, some funny stories, anything that comes up, because you are so much more than the space that you hold in your community. I mean, we all are, but the heart chakra, it's the perfect time to talk about like these amazing things that come up.
Okay, so I have a couple of things that come to mind. One is I just want to share before I even go to anything fun, is I used to have a mentor a long time ago before I met and either of you or anyone that we know together, that told me I was all head and no heart.
Oof.
And I thought, and I was just like, really? And I kind of felt that way too. I had come out of corporate. I was not a good business owner yet and didn't really know what I was doing or what my real missions and goals were, other than to be available for my kids. When I started coaching, my kids were like 3 and 5, and now they're 16 and 19. So it's been a long time. And but my goal was, okay, I'm going to do something different. And it was all about doing without really knowing why, other than for them. And so it took a long time to develop why I do things for me and how I do things that also are for me, in addition to being in business. So some of the fun things I would say that I surround my life with, being with the ladies is always fun anyway. So work is fun for me. Yes, there's things that are complicated or challenging, but it's never not worthwhile, or like, it's still fun. It's never so hard that it's not fun, I should say. But outside of work and business, the things that show up in my life. So my youngest is an actor, is in theater. It's going to be famous someday, I guarantee it. And I won't guarantee it to him, but I'll tell everyone else, because he's got to do the work, not me. And so I'm really involved in youth theater. I'm on the board for the theater company that he's a part of. And that gives me a real creative outlet opportunity to be surrounded by other creative people, other people who are doing things that are a little outside the norm, or what you would think is the norm of some white girl from Silicon Valley, right? And it takes me all the way back to when I was young and a performer myself. I was in theater, I was a dancer, and remembering that, like, it was 1990. We loved Madonna. Vogue was what was in, and I wanted to move to New York and, be Madonna, which I never, like, that was never going to happen, but we all wanted it anyway, because we were this kind of bohemian lifestyle desire of, like, I don't care if I make money, I just want to live with the fun, and be creative and expressive and all of that. So that's like, that was when I was 20. That was a long time ago. The other fun things that I do, I will say, I love food, right? So I'm always looking for a new adventure in dining. I love to go to museums and see. So, like, it always comes back to the art of it for me. As I mentioned, my undergrad was in interior design, was my degree. So it's an art degree, it's a design degree. And I never was a good designer, but I love art and architecture and creativity and things that are kind of wild. I'll go to any museum any day, and the museum might be a banana taped to the wall. We've all heard about that recently. And I'd be like, interesting. I wonder what they were thinking, right? It gets you wondering about the world and about other people. And I think that is like the basis of what makes me fun, is because I really want to experience things I've never experienced. I'm a Sagittarius. Adventure is like a tagline, right? So I am all about adventure and new experiences, and where can I go and what can I do that's going to be different.
This is why I love you, Tracie.
I know, my friend,
yeah, because you and I are the Tall Girl Sagittarius Club.
Okay,
right.
I was going to talk about that whole tall
and
girl
Norelle,
thing.
who's also a tall girl and a Sagittarius.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was going to talk about the tall girl thing, but yeah, when I think about you, I think about theater, because you're always inviting, and that's the part that I wanted to talk about. And you're inviting to fun things, right? So, and so it's either art
Well, do
or
people
come on over.
invite things to not fun things? Come to the funeral with me. Like,
Well, I have been invited to a couple of things where I'm like, that does not sound enticing at all. So
well, and I
pass.
get invited to not fun things to me also. And it's like, I don't think that's for me, which
Right.
is totally fine, right? We have to find
Sure,
the people who are for us.
sure. But I will also say that I have your magnet, the magnet that you gave out to everyone. I still have it on
Mhm.
my fridge because it tells me I'm brilliant. And so that's it, you know, it was a fun idea. The things that you have, you know, you've always come up with something that has a fun flavor. And that is a Sag thing. I'm a Virgo, so you'd never know that I am that Virgo, but you two are like way more happy-go-lucky than I am. I pretend, right? But I am like, I have an inner Eeyore. And then,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but you two are always talking about, hey, let's do this, let's do that. And I really have to check it out and say,
I guess we're the inner
think that's
Tiggers.
yeah, yeah,
I
that is
think
true.
also, I mean, I'm gonna be 50, how am I, 57? I'm gonna be 57 this year. And a lot of it also for me has come with age, right? Like growing up and being, you know, in college and in school, right? Well, I can't say I was serious in high school, but you know, I was a rule follower in the sense like I'm gonna get my stuff done. I graduated with honors from school, but I was not a good designer. But I got the job that paid the money because jobs want you to finish your projects. And all those designers were all like floating off into the ether somewhere, not getting their stuff done. Yeah, exactly. So it's a mix of kind of personal responsibility and creativity. And I feel like as I've gotten older, my personal responsibility and my leadership of myself has shown up more in what do I actually want and how can I do that and still, you know, do the things that I am staying responsible for and also you know, be a role model for those teenagers that I've raised and I'm still raising so that they can, you know, also have flourishing lives.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. And one way or another, Tracy, you seem to be the person who just figures it out. The
Yeah.
place closes, you figure it out. You raise your kids on your own for a little while, you figure it out. You
Well,
are
and what are you
just
going
a
to do, right?
right.
Resilience is, I mean, adventure might be my middle name, but resilience is also my middle name. Just, you know, it happened. It's already done. What are you going to do next?
But
Like,
here's the thing about, okay, well, it's Sagittarius, but this is really the thing that I love that you bring to the Gather community is you talk about hard stuff with lightheartedness.
mm,
And that's really important because it makes everything so much more palatable. So yes, if you say want to come to the funeral with me, you say it in a way where I'm like, huh, that could be a pretty good time, right? I need some new earrings for that.
right? Give you a chance to dress up.
That's the thing that I really love about you is that
Yeah, thank you.
you do talk about big things, but you it's beyond compassion. There is a lightheartedness in there, so
Yeah,
it's
it's
so much
interesting.
easier.
That's really interesting that you say that, you know, because over the years, different people say that to me in different ways.
Mm,
Sometimes it's been, you're so Pollyanna,
no, I
right?
wouldn't say that.
And it's not, and I because I looked it up and I know what that means, and that's not what I do, right? It's where can you find the good, right? Whether it's a bad, you know, my husband died of cancer. Where can I find the good? I've gotten to be with my kids way more than I ever would have had he stayed alive on the planet. We also were planning to move out of California and I was going to quit my job before the kids were born. Well, if we had moved, so like you can see all of the signs in the universe, right? If we had moved to Mississippi, which is where we were planning to move, his family was from Louisiana. If we had moved and I didn't know yet that I was pregnant, and I had given up my job and all my benefits and my 6-figure salary and all of that stuff, if we had left, we also, if we had moved a month before we had planned to move, Katrina hit the day we sold our house. So if we had moved, like I would have been pregnant he would have had no job. The world would have been underwater and everyone was living in one house for 2 years. Like, and I would have had a baby during that time because I didn't know I was pregnant yet. So the universe takes care of you. And when you know that you can trust that it will work out, even if you don't know what's going to happen, you just have to figure out what you want and go. And that's the
brave
centeredness.
and be bold.
And be bold. And that's the centeredness, I think, Cinthia, that brought you wanting to talk to me about heart chakra, because when you're centered and you're able to recognize that even in the midst of chaos, even in the midst of the unknown, if you just kind of hold true to yourself and decide what you want to do and then go toward it, you're gonna be okay.
And that is our Tracie Root of the Bold and Brilliant with Tracie podcast with Tracie Root. Tracie, tell our listeners what you have coming up.
Well, in the Gather community, we always have things coming up. And in fact, now that we're wrapping up summer, things are going to be ramping up quite a bit. We're recording here at the end of July, but September, October, we have a summit in October. We've got a summit in December. We've got workshops and roundtables and all the things. So there's always something happening in the Gather community. For me, from the other parts of obviously the podcast is still going. I've got goals for how many episodes I'm going to get done before the end of the year. So, we'll do a recap maybe later and see if I made it. That's the plan. And then I do 2 retreats a year. So by the time this comes out, that retreat will be about to happen or just happened. And I'll be planning the ones for next year, which I'm super excited about because I already have people signed up and it's going to be fabulous whenever it is. So that's what's happening.
Good job, Tracie Root.
If you look at I have a links page with literally everything that we have going on, and it's always being updated. So whatever's on there is what's coming up.
Right. We'll make sure that we're going to put that in the show notes.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, Tracie. And that takes us to the conclusion of another wonderful episode of Mind Power Meets Mystic. This is me, Michelle Walters, the show Mind Power, and Cinthia Varkevisser, our show Mystic, signing off. Thanks for listening.